everybody, and welcome to this today's webinar from the Belonging Project. We are excited to have you here this Friday, and we're looking forward to an exciting and very much informational and motivational talk from my friend Susan Freeman. So here's what you should know about Susan. She and I both love Brene Brown. In fact, when you look her up, she talks about how we have to have the courage to walk into our own story and own it, and we get to write the ending. Like one of my mantras. Susan has been invited to talk to us about influence and social media because she has over 16,000 followers on social media. But it's not just that. She has a mission and a passion to help women achieve workplace equity. She is passionate about diversity and inclusion. She's passionate about being an ally. And who better to join us to share information on communication, business development, how we build relationships than Susan Freeman. Susan, welcome. I'm turning the microphone over to you. We are honored to have you join us, and we are thankful for you joining us as a national partner. Thank you.
Corey, thank you so much. Saifa, thank you for having me here today. I think those people out there who do know me know that passionate is probably one of the top two words people usually use to describe me. Troublemaker might be the other one. But I am passionate about equity in the workplace and equality in the world. And what you're doing with the Belonging Project is just incredible. So let's jump right in. There's information to cover here today. If we don't get to all of it, I'm happy to entertain email questions or phone calls or what have you so that I can answer questions or share more information. So let's first talk about this amazing initiative called the Belonging Project. It's a collaborative network of professional and personal support for diverse legal talent across industry organizations and law firms. This is a unique initiative that Saifarth has put in place. And I think it's so remarkable that you had the courage not just to know what to do, but to actually act on it. People say that knowledge is disagree. I think knowledge is just part of the solution. You have to add action to that for it to be truly powerful. And that's what you have done with this Belonging Project. It's amazing. So you see this amazing word on this amazing slide. It tells several stories. I want you to say the word with me, no matter where you are, if you're in your office /den/new office, say Ubuntu. Say it out loud because it makes it real. Ubuntu. This is a very, very powerful and meaningful word. Because why? Because this word has actions associated with it. The word Ubuntu became popular worldwide during apartheid as Bishop Desmond Tutu explained a philosophy in multiple South African ethnic groups that our humanity derives from that of the collective. Think about that, folks. Our humanity derives from the humanity of the collective. Ubuntu symbolizes the universal bond we have as a people and the focus on collective responsibility. Just as this pandemic has illustrated how interdependent we are, this collective is focused on working together to move forward in our shared commitment to improving inclusion and diversity in the legal profession. We believe that we rise and fall together. So that said, today's session is going to be our little way of giving you some information that might help you on social media. Let's start with a social media listening strategy. It sounds straightforward enough. However, it can be rather complex. And so today we're going to unpack that and make it not so complex for you. Identify and analyze what's being said about you and your firm. Topics relevant to your firm on the internet. What makes social listening so crucial is how it can truly impact every other part of your marketing plan. When you use real data and sentiments from clients on social media, you can certainly ground your entire marketing strategy in deeper consumer and market insights. So let's talk a little bit about ideas for social listening. Here are 10 that I've put together for you today. First, research where people are talking about you. The first step in the social listening game is tuning your antenna to the right channels. You probably already know that Facebook, Twitter, and LinkedIn are smart places to start. But depending on your industry and your clients, you may find other forums like Snapchat or Instagram, even TripAdvisor and Yelp, or other sites might be just as important or more important to you. Identify the industry influencers. When you first start listening, you may feel that no one's talking about your brand and there's not much to listen for, but that's not true. This simply means it's time to identify the primary influencers in your space. You can bet that trusted influencers are out there creating great content for just about every topic under the sun. So find the influencers first and see what they're talking about. Listen for social selling opportunities. Social selling doesn't always mean conversion directly as a result of social. For example, someone might tweet that she's thinking about buying a new BMW, and the local BMW dealership picks up on this and they chime in with a useful video. Look for these kinds of opportunities and also times when someone may not be so happy with your number one competitor. Social selling opportunities are everywhere once you start looking. Lawyers have lots of opportunities as people mention wrongs and rights daily on social. Listening and offering your help where able is very powerful. Keep an eye out for non-direct brand mentions. People don't always mention you or your firm by the correct brand name. They may spell or maybe say Seyfarth wrong. They may use an abbreviation or simply talk about your industry without specifically calling you out. So put together a list of words that people might use to describe you, your industry, and your competitors, and track conversation around those keywords across the social web. You'll want to know what people are seeing, hearing, and saying. Connect social to the broader business community. The highest performing marketers integrate social media activity into other business functions. For example, 88% of high performing marketers collaborate with other departments to respond to social inquiries and concerns. Social also helps you to discover new leads, and your community of partners and clients then become powerful brand advocates. Create categories to organize mentions. Hopefully, as your social listening plan matures, you'll start tracking many topics and keywords, areas of practice, industries served, competitors, and relevant associations are just a few examples. You'll likely find this information flows into your stream in one large, unstructured mass, but by assigning categories and moving content into categories, you'll have a far easier time understanding and taking action on what people are saying about you and your firm. Draft analytics reports to help shape future marketing endeavors. Social media listening puts you in an enviable position. You'll start sitting on a mountain of data. But remember, more data doesn't always create more action. The knowing-doing gap I mentioned earlier is an example. You have to be intentional. So have your marketing department, or if you're solo, do this yourself, create consistent reports that cover the following: sentiment analyses, total mentions, most active networks, and even pain points. To put all of this into context, you'll be answering questions like, are mentions going up or down over time? Is positive sentiment increasing? Doing this on a weekly, bi-weekly, or monthly basis will help you shape current and future social media campaigns and the way that you talk to your clients. Speaking of clients, the firms that win and the lawyers that win are those who are client focused. Be client focused. Don't be firm focused and don't be lawyer focused. The importance of knowing individual clients is key. As you listen for questions and comments, focus on the individual clients and how you can provide a consistent experience across social, web, email, and more. Instead of filing their thoughts away under keyword lists, get to actually know your clients as people, not handles, connecting the dots on their relationship and the history with your firm. Automate what you can, but be sure to keep the human element. The social listening process may be overwhelming at times, depending on your size of your firm. Social listening tools can help by automatically tagging keywords and assigning mentions to employees and partners. Shout outs for firm wins are a good example. Automation steps improve efficiency and allow you to spend more time engaging with people. We'll talk more about engagement in the second half of this presentation. You can't, however, leave it all to computers. Figure out what automation techniques work for you and allocate human resources where it makes the most sense. This way, you'll be the most productive. Draw meaningful conclusions about your clients from the sentiment analysis. Sentiment analysis refers to how you measure your clients' and consumers' attitudes toward your brand. Sentiment analysis technology today is highly sophisticated, but remember, some posts, for example, that use sarcasm, that may trip up the system. So you should be aware and always take a sample of your own analyzed content to make sure it looks properly tagged. The holy grail of social listening is the ability to draw meaningful conclusions about your clients from listening to what they say. And that's where sentiment analysis plays a rather big role. Social media accounts for over 30% of time spent online. Keep social challenges and channels can be a handful. You see that? See what I did there with the slide? A handful. Remember, the beauty of social is in its diversity. Businesses and individuals bring their own voice, tone, and approach on social media. Everyone has a voice, and through social media, we can amplify our own as well as those of others. I have nearly 16,000 followers on social media, and they all know me. And in many cases, I actually know them. Creating new and engaging content on the fly in this unpredictable time is not easy work, but there are tricks to making sure that you do this right. The positive side in all of this is the shifting expectations of audiences who are now comfortable with and enjoy the more raw, unfiltered, authentic content that brands are producing. I am known for owning my story. People who know me know that I'm WYSIWYG, and that is my brand. If you don't know what WYSIWYG means, I'll tell you. It's an acronym for what you see is what you get. The main piece of advice I can give to my community is the importance of creating content that actually adds value and is very empathetic towards current situations. So here are my top 10 tips for every aspect of social media in business. Empower your employees and partners and others in your firm to be social brand advocates. There was once a day when law firms wouldn't allow people to go on social during the workday. I think that's a mistake. I think you need to have your employees and your staff and your partners all be brand advocates. Employee engagement is one of the best ways to get your social message spread far and wide. Empower your partners, associates, and staff to be those social ambassadors by making it simple for them to share firm content on their own personal channels. How? Curate a frequently updated list of links and short messages so that everyone simply needs to copy, cut, paste, and customize. Be careful to put share buttons in strategic places. A few years back, share buttons exploded. They were everywhere. Suddenly, Facebook and Twitter logos covered every surface of even brick and mortar stores as well as websites. We've since learned that share buttons should be used much more strategically. Use social media buttons to let people know about a new network you've expanded. Maybe your firm decides to do business on Instagram or to promote itself on Instagram or Snapchat, or to indicate where they can get a quick client service, and always provide a valuable reason they should connect with you. Humanize your brand. Whether you're marketing highly technical B2B software, legal services, or even a hair product, you're still marketing to whom? A person. So humanize the brand, whether you're marketing whatever it is that you're marketing. And we all are. Don't be confused, folks. We are all selling something every time we wake up and step out of the house. People want to talk to other people, not faceless corporations or firms. So here are a few ways to ensure your social presence is staying both professional yet still human. 1, admit when you're wrong and apologize where needed. 2, share a behind the scenes look at the work at your firm, or maybe a life in the day of a lawyer in your firm. 3, show the names or faces of those who actually manage your social. 4, go on a jargon diet. Use real people language instead of legalese. And 5, have a sense of humor. I think I do. I may be wrong. That's very relative, but I like to think that I do. It makes me feel good. Grow your audience the right way. Big numbers of fans provide an ego boost and may help you see that you're doing a great job. But what you really want instead is to grow your audience responsibly and sustainably. The old-fashioned formula of sharing consistent and sending timely responses, and acting like a human still works for growing your audience on any social platform. Be mindful of oversharing. Now, I share this tip with you as one who needs to take her own advice. While it's important to stay in the loop and maintain social relationships, posting too often can turn off your audience. In the work that I do, I often shine a light on others, so I post regularly. People have called me prolific. I have to be careful about that. That is a lesson for all of us. Create a content calendar with a posting schedule and then stick to it. Everyone in your social media audience is very busy, and they'll appreciate clear and concise communication. And don't always feel compelled to jump in. You've probably seen one of the many articles poking fun at those who feel compelled to share their opinions on every celebrity faux pas, world event, or holiday. Some things are simply best left unsaid, and most events don't even warrant a response from you or your firm. Similarly, you don't always have to respond every time someone mentions your firm. Sometimes it's better to let individual employees, influencers, or other members of the community interject before or perhaps instead of you. If you jump in at the wrong time, you might send the wrong message. So pick your conversations wisely. And I'll probably need not say what I'm about to say, but I'll say it anyway. In this politically divided landscape, it's often better to choose not to try to reason with the unreasonable. I've always found that's as helpful as giving medicine to a dead man. Aim for transparency. Openness goes a long way in social media. A transparent communication model helps your community feel involved in your firm and appreciate the trust that you show them. You can even increase this transparency by turning your managing partner, CEO, or other executive loose on Twitter, actively soliciting feedback and letting your clients meet and chat with your leaders online. Help your clients become experts. You've accumulated a ton of knowledge about your industry and services. Share what you've learned with your clients and community and help them become experts in their own right. Here are a few approaches. 1, pay attention to the questions your clients ask most and put them on an FAQ section on your website. A robust FAQ library is a great way to assist your client service team and to show your clients that you know their biggest concerns. 2, answer every question and provide resources for further reading. 3, lead by example. Conduct research, post case studies, and share learning moments on your blog. You don't always have to have all the answers. Just be helpful. Engage intelligently with positive feedback. When you get positive feedback on social, tie a bow on that interaction so the client is likely to say nice things about you again. Humans are highly influenced by other people's opinions, so when clients openly express their love of your brand, it's valuable indeed. Always thank them first. Then you can look for ways to integrate them further into your community. You may take note of their latest blog post and share it with your network. Add them as a guest contributor or invite them to a client forum. Deal with negative feedback swiftly and skillfully. When someone has negative things to say about your firm, respond quickly and do not delete the post from your page. If it's on your networks like Instagram or Facebook, where comments can be deleted. Your clients may view your deletion as a sign that your brand is dishonest or trying to hide the truth. But don't feed the trolls either. Stay focused on constructive criticism. If someone is clearly out to tarnish your firm name, it is best not to play their game on social media. Instead, send them your client service email address and/or phone number and ask that they contact you directly. Now, in the second part of this program, we'll talk about the fun stuff. We've done our listening, right? So now we want to engage. Let's talk about social media engagement. In this day and age, most attorneys know that having an active social media presence is absolutely a must in order to stay competitive and to connect with past, present, and future clients. However, fewer attorneys understand how to develop and sustain effective social media in the long term that will result in strong client connections and expanded community connections with your firm, and ultimately more and better business. So let's take a look at a few ways how. Yay, I'm going to give you 10 examples, okay? So here are some exciting, diverse, and effective posts for your social media platforms, including Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and LinkedIn. Do not be afraid to engage on social media. Tip number 1, share client tips. While you want to avoid giving specific legal advice online, lending a hand to your audience with some general advice is super helpful and can be very educational. Give your audience tips that they can use regarding the general issues surrounding your practice areas. For example, a divorce attorney might share tips about dividing assets, considering mediation, or even who gets to keep the dog. Post breaking news. Act as a news source by sharing current events, developing legal issues, and providing relevant and interesting stories pertaining to your specific firm and practice areas. To be sure that you're in the loop, set up Google alerts, for example, for keywords that pertain to your practice, and keep an eye on the news. For example, a personal injury attorney who takes workers' comp cases might post news stories about a local construction accident. Post opinion pieces. Share opinion articles from thought leaders in the legal world, giving your followers a deeper understanding of key issues. In addition, consider sharing your own opinions by linking to original blog posts on your website. Just be sure when posting opinions to stay away from the very controversial issues like politics and religion. Now, again, folks, here's a serious situation where I'm telling you what to do. Do as I say, not as I do, because I have a tendency to get, I'm an advocate for equity in the workplace and equality in the world. So I do get into those conversations. I'm very strategic about it, however, and that's a lesson I learned the hard way. Avoid alienating large groups of people who could be offended by your stance or the stance that you present. You don't want to make enemies of potential clients. Share industry research. People love to read the results of new and interesting studies. Dig deeply into academic journals and research organizations' archives to find relevant research. The research or study results don't always have to be new. In fact, some very good research and meaningful findings don't get the immediate publicity that it deserves. And you can do that for them if it's something meaningful to your audience. For example, a business attorney might post about a new study about a current success rate of mergers and acquisitions, or inversely, about the impact of COVID-19 on such transactions. Post helpful content excerpts. Tease your audience's curiosity by sharing informative passages or statistics from your website copy or content. Not only is this a great way to drive web traffic coming in from social media outlets, it's also a great way to get extra bang from the content that you are posting on your firm's website. Share podcasts. Now, this is one of my favorites because I host a podcast. Take advantage of the podcast craze by linking your favorite industry-related episodes or even creating your own and putting them on your website. Give your social media followers an option to listen to content rather than read it. This will attract a certain portion of the community that prefers audio over visual. This will increase your overall audience as well. Podcasts are an excellent way of educating your followers so that they are easier to work with as clients. In our Freeman Means Business, Wonder Women in Business podcast, we shine. I'm happy to say Seyfarth's Corey Carew has been one of my most remarkable, engaging, and delightful guests I've ever had on my 190 podcasts. We also, through my company, Executive Institute on Inclusion, host Empower Hour with Cameron Woods. Cameron is the Associate Counsel at Allstate. He does a fantastic job of interviewing women of color. Post quotes. Humorous, inspiring, or motivational quotes always perform well on social media, and they may be shared far and wide by your users. This increases your social media audience. Consider quoting famous attorneys or choosing quotes that are significant to the kinds of cases you take. For example, a bankruptcy attorney could choose quotes about finances, happiness without money, or starting over. My friend and Corey's, Michelle Wimes, is a master at this. If you don't know her, follow her on social. The same goes for Corey. She is quite well versed at this. And if you don't follow Corey, you should absolutely do so. Share fill in the blank posts. These posts, like, if I had $1 million, I would blank, right? Those encourage participation, interaction, and thought. They can also be very fun for readers. While it's always good to include a legal angle in your post, don't be afraid to get creative. For example, a business attorney might try, in 2021, I'm going to grow my business by blank, and then encourage people to share their own as well. Create polls. Much like fill in the blank posts, polls are a great way of getting your users to chime in with their own thoughts and opinions. A few social media sites, including Facebook and Twitter, make it extremely easy to create a poll with just a few clicks. Think of a poll with an angle related to the law or your practice, and you're ready to go. Just for fun, in the beginning of this COVID-19 shelter in place, I asked my followers to post a picture of the pet that is keeping them company, and I got over 300 photos posted. I then made a movie with music of these photos, and I shared it with all of my followers, and they found it very calming. Create weekly roundups. Reshare the week's most successful content each Friday, giving users who didn't see your best posts another chance to click and engage. It's important to remember that especially on the more popular social media websites like Twitter, content can often get lost in minutes under the constant flood of tweets. Weekly roundup posts can make sure that you get a greater number of followers who get the chance to see your content. Now, we're going to talk about connecting with clients. Connecting with your clients in real time is essential to get a grasp on where they are, what they need, and any issues they might be facing. So how can you connect with your clients in real time? There are several apps out there, software platforms, easy to use, easy to learn how to use, easy to explain to others how to use. Some of those are listed on this slide: Podium Web Chat, Live Chat, BirdEye, Pure Chat, SmartsUp, and Drift. You want to make sure that your clients have access to you in a way that makes sense to them, not just you. And this way, you can continue to have a flow of business. Maybe they could text you or even communicate instantly with you via your website. Content creation. I use Canva most of all. It's for people at all levels. You don't have to be a graphic designer. I also use Adobe Creative Cloud, which is a little more advanced, and you'll probably need to learn a few of their tools. But this is a great way to provide meaningful and unique and different and memorable content for your clients. There's a lot of value in using social media scheduling tools too. They help you save time by pre-scheduling content. They help you track and analyze engagement. They help you recycle content, find and add new and relevant content that your audience is already engaging in. And on your screen, you'll see some of the more popular tools for social media scheduling. Even though there are a lot of benefits to using these, do not forget to engage on your own. Half or more of social media is in fact being social, engaging, and answering clients' questions. It's not just about pushing out content. If you are courageous enough to try out videos online, those are very popular. A brief video under 2 minutes. And now they have so many tools out there like Vimeo, Create, Cliptomatic, and Video that you can create these brief videos with closed captioning at the bottom of the screen. You don't have to spend a lot of money to create them. Your clients want to see you and will still have the connection that they're used to. I know many people are afraid of the camera or showing their face, especially now when our roots are not colored or the background includes our cat. But people are very forgiving, and we're all experiencing this level set in this COVID-19 shelter in place. So remain connected. Think about doing question and answer sessions with leadership, both on the professional and personal side. Client reviews or testimonials. What did they like about what you do or how you help them right now? Thank yous to your thank you videos to your clients. New products or services or how to use them in a different way. Did you yourself make an at-home pizza kit? You can explain to people how you learned to cook in your stay-at-home, shelter-at-home place in COVID-19. I know my husband now has learned to cook, and he cooks every night. I'm working from 7 in the morning till 7 at night. And he's done something he's never done before. He's learned to cook, and now he feeds the family. People love that. Now he's he's a lawyer, he's a CEO. People would love to see him humanized that way and relate to him that way. So post a video of something you're doing differently. Lastly, we're coming to a close, but I wanted to share a few unique and different things that are happening in the social media sphere. Twitter, in response to content consumption and user habits changes, has been releasing new features and platform research to help brands keep up with the trends. From user stats and marketing tips to recently released platform features, Twitter now has a lot more to offer. If you're interested, I can send you several articles that speak to that. The same for Instagram. They noticed a significant uptick in user activity and content engagement in more and more communities as we went on lockdown in COVID-19. So in response, they began releasing new content, community engagement, and advertising features along with research and support guides for marketers. I have several articles on their efforts as well. Again, if interested, let me know. Facebook. Now, I almost skipped over Facebook because a lot of attorneys don't feel comfortable using Facebook, but I'm going to encourage you to rethink that. Over the past few months, Facebook has come out with so many new updates. I can't even remember them all, but they have advertising guides and marketing education sessions to new features, tools, and platforms that are constantly releasing updates specifically to help brands and marketers during these uncertain times. You might want to think about Facebook, maybe a private group with your clients so you can discuss how they're feeling, not just business or legal issues. How is their business doing in this new normal? LinkedIn, we're all familiar and we're all comfortable with LinkedIn. Similar to other social media platforms, it has been releasing regular tools, features, guides, and courses to support brands through the pandemic. I love LinkedIn Learning. If you haven't checked it out, do so. They even took a step further by launching mindfulness courses to help people manage stress due to the lockdown. Now, here are my final pro tips. There's a time and a place for legalese. When completing court documentation and filing official legal letters, you may definitely see the need to include a bit of it. These are the documents that will primarily get read by other legal professionals, after all. So writing within the legal realm makes sense. But when you are on social media, avoid legalese at all costs because you are appealing to clients and clients don't want to hear it. They often don't understand it, and you're not speaking the language of the client. When you want to connect with your clients through social, think about writing for your website or maybe a blog that you can share over social. These are the places where legalese tends to do more harm than good. The key is to always remember your audience when approaching any kind of legal writing. Don't do it. What would the client say instead? What language would they use and how would they receive your message? Last pro tips. Who am I writing for? When I say that the language of the client, know your audience, make sure they can make meaning of your message. Think of these questions. What is my goal? Will my intended audience understand and appreciate my word choice, tone, and writing style? Or should I change it? Well, the answer would be yes to that question. When writing for current or potential clients, those individuals most likely don't understand what the legal terms you commonly use mean. They may struggle with digesting long sentences using academic speak. Don't be afraid to use language and grammar that's shorter, more succinct, and approachable when writing, even on your law firm website, whether that's content featured on the site or in blog posts or on social. Now, that's it for today. It was a lot of information. Know that this webinar has been approved for CLE credit, and there is the code to get your credit. I am done, and if you have questions and answers, feel free to put them in the chat. Seyfarth is gathering all the chat for me and will provide to me after this session. I am happy to follow up with you on the answers. Thank you, everyone, for being here today and for inviting me to present to you about the influence in social media.
Thank you, Susan. Can you actually do me a favor and read the CLE code as well so that at least people get it two ways, depending on what
Yes,
you're doing? Yeah.
yes. So for those of you who can't see my screen, you might be listening in instead. It's SS9004. If there are any questions, Corey, that you have that you want to take now, it looks like we have time. I'm happy to answer any questions that somebody may have, and those that we can't get to, I'll certainly provide my email address and my social, not my social security. The new social means social media.
There you go. I've been trying to unmute myself and it wasn't working. Okay, we do have one question, and let me read it to you. Susan, I have a feeling that you're going to get a lot more questions later as people digest. But this question says, what's the best way to merge your professional and personal brand? I think this is very, this is a powerful question because I know many of us experience this depending on what you do, right? Like for me as a diversity and inclusion person, yes, I work for a law firm, but diversity and inclusion work is not just a paid job for me. It's um, in a sense a calling, a purpose that transcends. It goes beyond. It goes beyond the law firm. So how do you blend professional and personal brand is the question.
So I think we start with the appetite your clients and your followers might have. I, like you, Corey, am I question the status quo. I try to create change. As change agents, we're not always seen as politically or professionally correct. But I might argue in the work that I do, I have found that I'm using air quotes here when I say professional or professionalism is rife with bias and is, we really do need to change things. And so I say, look at things from the point of view of your client base and your followers and totally own your story and be authentic and merge who you are into your social posts, whether even as a lawyer, you want to remain, seen as credible, right? But you don't necessarily need to be seen as always professional. And when I say that, I'm using the air quotes again, because professional sometimes means snobby, affinity bias kicks in. You only speak the language of, let's say, white males over 50, if you're going by the book, another air quote right there. So I say, own your story, find who you are, be passionate about what you believe in, fight for those good causes, and gladly weave that into your LinkedIn and your Facebook and Twitter personas, if you will. I know I do, Corey does. It might be a risk that you're taking, but I think if you know your clients and what's important to them, again, don't get into name calling. It's okay to attack policies, not people, right? So think about your audience. What language do they speak? Don't worry so much about the quote unquote professional or by the book way of doing things. Be who you are. Like I said, my brand is WYSIWYG. You're asking two women right here who are known for being WYSIWYG. So my vote is going to be who you are, be authentic, share that person with your clients. They want to do business with someone they know, like, and trust, right? You can maintain credibility and perhaps even grow credibility through merging more of who you are into what you do. Is that helpful?
So, yes, excellent, excellent, excellent. So I have a question. I was having a conversation with a colleague not too long ago, and something came up about when a person goes viral, right? And and maybe going viral not because they intended to, but they somehow got caught in a Twitter war, or something was deliberately taken out of context because you have a troll trying to create a mess, whatever. And sometimes, it's not just individuals, companies can get into that, right? Somebody starts to hashtag you over something that you didn't say or do. What tips do you have for individuals and organizations when they find themselves in that situation? I mean, we all hope not to be in that situation, but I'm sure the people who've ended up there never planned on ending up there either.
Right, right. And look, we know to walk away with our head held high when it comes to trolls, right? You don't want them to set the rules of the game, and then by your responding in kind, you have volunteered to play by their rules. So trolls are an exception. What you do in that case, however, instead, like I mentioned earlier, you do not want to delete. You want to use fact-based information. Just stick to data, right? No emotion, no, it is what it is. Here are the facts, here's the source. And at the end of the day, if they don't believe credible sources like primary sources or actual journalists, then you can't reason with those people, right? That's the giving medicine to a dead man situation. It doesn't help anyone. So you post what's beneficial to the followers that are viewing this troll try to bait you, right? You don't want to fall for the bait. You want to share the fact-based information that addresses the issue, and you leave it at that. That way, even though you're not playing their game, you're giving some very good information to those who are now engaged. It's like, watching, a car wreck. People just can't stop looking at those trolls and what they're saying. So just use that information. Say, I'll say this once. Here are the facts. You post that and you move on. Now, in other situations where it's not a troll, but it's something uncomfortable and you need to address it, do so starting with the truth, the facts, apologize where you need to if necessary, and just be open, honest, and direct. I think people understand part of being strong is being willing to share your vulnerabilities. And when you make a mistake or there's something someone disagrees with, you can certainly validate another's position, give merit to another's stand, explain how a certain issue impacts you differently, perhaps. And that makes sense. Appeal to people's logic and reason. And then being yourself, being authentic, that will appeal to their emotion and their feeling. So you make connections in that way. Never just ignore like so many people think you should. When you're a professional or in a firm, you need to address those. You can't just ignore them. Is that helpful?
Yes, very helpful. Excellent. Excellent. You know what, while we're waiting for questions, I see a little dot here. Somebody's got a question. I have another question. Towards the end, you talked about video. And one of the things that I've noticed is that I'm not stereotyping, but generally speaking, the younger generation is very adept at using video to communicate, very adept at short videos that they know how to record. I mean, my 8-year-old made a clips video. I didn't even know how she made it. I mean, she made it while I was painting, and she insisted I post it on Instagram, which I did. And I had no hand in the creation of it. So they know how to do things. Conversely, a lot of those of us who are a bit older are often hesitant. We perhaps think that we have to be looking perfect, have the perfect space behind us before we do any videos. Now, I will full confession that most of the videos, if not all of the videos that I have ever done, have been spontaneous. It's been something I'm thinking about. It's been something I'm thinking about and I wanted to share, which means the background may not be that great and my hair may not even be combed. So I don't really subscribe to the notion of being all put together. However, I know that there's discussion out there about the best way to do these things. Do you have thoughts or advice? Should we be spending the time on the background and the look, or does it matter?
I have to say again, speak the language of your audience. But personally, I think the more and more we engage in digital communications and digital media, the less and less it matters that it's staged. In fact, on my podcast, I purposely do not edit and I do not script. It's free flow of information. It's conversational. People know it's authentic and real talk. And I think the same goes for video. I am, again, not courageous enough to just pop up and do a video. And that's my own issues, probably, like you said, generational. But I need to get over that because that's how people communicate today. You don't want, even in your law firm, you don't want to do proposals that are pages and pages of text. You want to incorporate pictures. That's how we communicate, through stories, through visuals these days. That's why Instagram and Facebook and such are popular. The younger generations, again, not stereotyping, but that's how we communicate, in a way of pictures and telling stories through visuals. So I say download that Clip-O-Matic on your smartphone. It's a minute video. It automatically closed captions, everything you're saying. And it's a way to give people a sense of who you are and what's important to you, not just through the picture, but they can hear you because it's a video, they have audio on that, and they can read the words. So you're capturing their attention and communicating in every possible way. I think more and more people should do that. Maybe even highlight employees at your firm, share things they're working on to make things better for your clients. Personalize your firm and your lawyers and your staff to the clients they work with, and maybe only talk to over email regularly. So I think it's very important to, I do this in a big way. And Corey, you know, because you follow me on Facebook, with my husband, who is not at all, he's not on social media. He's old school. He's a litigator. He's like, you know, almost curmudgeon-y. So I post pictures of him and tell stories about what we're doing, where we're traveling. I, you know, share his, you know, watering the garden that he's planted during the workday. Yeah. And that's not the image that people know of him. But you know how powerful that is in creating connection and trust when you
Yeah.
have a client that sees you doing something they do every day or every weekend, that there's a
Yeah.
connection there. So I say go
Yeah.
for it.
Well, I love that. I love that. Are there any other questions? Otherwise, do we have any other
Yeah.
questions? It says Whitney
Yes.
speaking. Oh, okay.
Yes. Yes. So, I kind of want to pose a question, and this might be more so for maybe law students or even people who are just starting in the legal field. What advice would you have for them when sometimes I think it can be hard to want to create a professional social media presence, but maybe weighing, you know, not wanting to come off as, you know, I'm representing that this is the idea of the firm that I work for, or trying to create that balance. And I think sometimes people might be hesitant to get out there and start a professional type of socialization for fear of maybe not wanting to say, you know, they don't want to say the wrong thing or pass it off as, you know, their company represents this same idea. What advice would you have to give to somebody in that position?
Well, I think that is probably one of the most powerful questions we could ever address in discussing influence in social media. You're up against an operating system that was created 1,000 years ago by white men over 50. We call them old white lawyers, owls, because those owls think they're wise. But what I do when I present to those owls is I open their eyes that muted group theory, which explains that because they created the operating system, it's in their language, doesn't it's not always applying to others in the firm. So women and other minorities or younger people who work in the firm, they don't speak old white leader or old white lawyer. So it's time for us to change the operating system and make room for people to be authentic. I would love to see young lawyers bring their advocate voices to the table. I mean, this generation is the cancel generation. They will walk away. I know in some firms, they don't care how much you pay. They want a holistic life. They want to be their whole selves, not just 9 to 5, one person, and then someone else later in the day. So I say, take your chance with being who you are. Maybe you want to run this post or this video or this blog by someone in your marketing department, or maybe your practice area leader or what have you, to make sure it's okay. You don't want to hurt the firm for sure, but you need to be working in a place where you're comfortable aligning your values, your social charges with the work that you do every day. Or why in the world would we ever find meaning in what we do? Because it's never just about the money.
Mm-hmm. That's excellent. That's
That's,
so true. Yeah.
that's great.
Yeah. Well, Susan, it doesn't look like we have any more questions. Whitney, did I miss anything? I didn't see any.
No, I think we addressed everything.
Okay. Okay.
Thank you so much for having me, and I wish you all the best in this project. And I make myself available with whatever I can do to help you succeed in this amazing initiative.
Thank you, Susan. We appreciate it very much. You've been incredible. How do you want people to reach out to you? Because I know people will have questions and they'll want to connect more.
Very nice of you to ask. Feel free to email me at susan@freemanmeansbusiness.com.
Okay. Thank you. Happy Friday. Have a great weekend. And it's what did they say in the TV industry? It's a wrap. It's a wrap. That's right. It's a wrap. Okay. Well, thank you. Mike, I think we're ready to end. All right, Mike, have we closed the webinar down?